to oppose. I rise to oppose. I will not be lectured about sexism, misogyny. Needs a mirror. That's what he needs. Now we're supposed to take a lecture. Now we're supposed to take a lecture about if men are more powerful, generally speaking, than women, is this such a bad thing? What if by physiology or temperament, men are more adapted to exercise authority or to issue command? But now there's an assumption that this is a bad thing. I was very personally offended. I was personally very offended. I was offended too on behalf of the women of Australia. Abortion is the easy way out. What the women of Australia need to understand while they're doing the ironing. I was offended too by sexism, by misogyny, catcalling across the table at me as I sit here as Prime Minister. Make an honest woman of herself. Ditch the bitch. A man's bitch. Every day. Sexism, misogyny, this from the leader of that, every day in every way. He sat in his chair and I sat in my chair, and that's all we heard from him. And now he wants to be taken seriously. Woken up this thing called misogyny. Now that suits my political purpose. Doesn't turn a hair. Doesn't apologise to the women of Australia. Doesn't apologise to me. Hypocrisy must not be tolerated. Big on telling everybody else what they should take responsibility for, what I should. Keen to assume what others should, especially me. Remind me if the leader of the opposition has taken responsibility. Has he taken responsibility for the conduct, the most vile things said about me and my family? Raised no voice of objection. No one stood up. No one walked out. No one stood and said, this is unacceptable. All in good fun. Big on responsibility, very light on accepting. I remind the leader. I remind them that. I remind the leader of the opposition. I remind the leader. I remind the leader. I remind the leader keen to lecture others. Another day of shame. Another day of shame for, died of shame. I indicate dying of shame. My father did not die of shame. Be ashamed. Text messages. Press reports about the content of those text messages. I was offended by the content of those text messages. I was offended by the content of those messages in the same way that I'm always offended by sexism, anti-women. I was offended by the things in the same way I was offended by the things no doubt the leader will continue to say in the future. But what I will not stand for, what I will never stand for, is the leader of the opposition coming into this place peddling a double standard. Peddling a standard for, seek to impose his double standards. Change his behaviour. Sexism always be unacceptable, always unacceptable. Change his behaviour. Apologise, standing next signs, ditch witch. Change, incapable of change. Capable of double standards, incapable of change. Should not rule. Oh, look at his watch. A woman's spoken too long. Yell at me to shut up. Reflect. Hypocrisy. Think seriously. Role of women. Better standard than this.